Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, Maine. My name is Bill Clark, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. Today's worship leader is Chuck Verrill, assisted by Louise Gephart. Chuck is a relatively new member of the congregation. A native Mainer, Chuck and his wife Dina recently returned from Chuck's career as an attorney in Washington, D.C. We look forward to hearing more about Chuck and about his spiritual journey and desire to care for the earth. Welcome, Chuck, and welcome everyone.
Children of the Earth and Sky, a poem by Alice Berry. Children of the earth and sky, we are nurtured, sustained, given warmth and light from above and below. Supported by earth's strong, firm crust, we build our homes, till the fields plant our gardens and orchards. When we turn from self and seek to be aware, we will find holy light in human faces, in blossom, birdsong, and sky. Then earth is truly our home, and we are one with all earth's creatures, parents of earth's children yet to be.
I've come to the mountain, I've come to pray, and the mountain wind and the setting sun carry me away. I've come to the mountain, I've come to see what the mountain wind and the setting sun have to say to me. And this is what I heard her say. You gotta believe, yes you gotta believe, yes you gotta believe, yes you gotta believe that the love inside your heart's gonna set you free. You gotta believe, yes you gotta believe, yes you gotta believe, yes you gotta believe that the love inside your heart's gonna set you free. I've come to the forest, I've come to pray, and the forest moss and the evergreen trees carry me away. I've come to the forest, I've come to see what the forest moss and the evergreen trees have to say to me. gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe that your love and care for me is gonna set you free. You gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe that your love and care for me is gonna set you free. I've come to the ocean, I've come to pray, and the ocean tides and the rolling waves carry me away. I've come to the ocean, I've come to see what the ocean tides and the rolling waves have to say to me. You gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe that the changes that you make are gonna set you free. You gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe that the changes that you make are gonna set you free. You gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe. Yes, you gotta believe that the love inside your heart, that your love and care for me, that the changes that you make are gonna set you free.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Bernier, and this morning I'm going to read the book Giving Thanks, a Native American Good Morning Message, written by Chief Jake Swamp and illustrated by Irwin Printup Jr. To be a human being is an honor, and we offer thanksgiving for all the gifts of life. Mother Earth, we thank you for giving us everything we need. Thank you, deep blue waters around Mother Earth, for you are the force that takes thirst away from all living things. We give thanks to green grasses that feel so good against our bare feet, for the cool beauty you bring to Mother Earth's floor. Thank you, good foods from Mother Earth, our life sustainers, for making us happy when we are hungry. Fruits and berries, we thank you for your color and sweetness. We are all thankful to good medicine herbs for healing us when we are sick. Thank you, all the animals in the world, for keeping our precious forests clean. All the trees in the world, we are thankful for the shade and warmth you give us. Thank you, all the birds in the world, for singing your beautiful songs for all to enjoy. We give thanks to you, gentle four winds, for bringing clean air for us to breathe from the four directions. Thank you, Grandfather Thunder Beings, for bringing rains to help all living things grow. Elder Brother Sun, we send thanks for shining your light and warming Mother Earth. Thank you, Grandmother Moon, for growing full every month to light the darkness for children and sparkling waters. We give you thanks, twinkling stars, for making the night sky so beautiful and for sprinkling morning dewdrops on the plants. Spirit protectors of our past and present, we thank you for showing us ways to live in peace and harmony with one another. And most of all, thank you, Great Spirit, for giving us all these wonderful gifts, so we will be happy and healthy every day and every night.
When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethoughts of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
The 15th Psalm. Lord, who may dwell in your tabernacle? Who may abide upon your holy hill? Whoever leads a blameless life and does what is right, who speaks the truth from his heart. There is no guile upon his tongue. He does no evil to his friend. He does not heap contempt upon his neighbor. In his sight the wicked is rejected, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He has sworn to do no wrong and does not take back his word. He does not give his money in hope of gain, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things shall never be overthrown. Good morning. Since I am new to UUCB, let me say a few words of introduction. I am from a family which settled in Biddeford Pool, Maine, where most of my ancestors earned their living from the sea as lobstermen and fishermen. My father followed the family tradition and took up lobstering until 1937, the year I was born, when he had the good fortune to land a position with the United States Railway Mail Service sorting mail on a daily trip from Portland to White River Junction, Vermont. He promptly sold his lobster gear and worked for the post office until his retirement, leaving my grandfather as the last lobsterman in the family, except my Uncle Louis, who owned the lobster pound in Bitterford Pool. My parents were not regular churchgoers, but they did encourage me to go to Sunday school and occasionally services at the First Congregational Church in South Portland. In all candor, I do not remember much from that exposure to religion and did not give much thought to faith. During my teenage years, I spent a number of summers as my grandfather's stern man. I loved it. I liked stringing salted fish heads in the wooden traps, running the boat, hearing endless stories about Pa's experiences on the water, finding all the surprises like starfish, crabs, and a few lobsters when we opened a trap. I was awed by the overwhelming beauty of the sea on a calm day and the menace when it got rough. I think my grandfather felt I was getting too attached to lobstering, and I remember him sitting on the stern, smoking his ever-present pipe as we headed home after a morning pulling traps. He repeated over and over, "Go to college, go to college." It was good advice, and having decided I wanted to see the world beyond Maine, I applied to Tufts. When it was time to go, my parents drove me to the old and sadly demolished Central Maine Railway Station in Portland, where I took the train to Boston. What an adventure. Tufts was wonderful. I majored in English literature and was mentored by Professor John Holmes, who claimed to be New England's major minor poet. We studied Thoreau and Emerson, and I formed a lifelong fascination with his description of the oversoul, but it has taken years to begin to understand what that means for me. After Tufts, I spent 3 very challenging but productive years at Duke Law School. You can imagine the shock when I got off the train in Durham and saw the restrooms labeled white and colored. We later read about the sit-in at the Woolworth lunch counter in Greensboro and welcomed the first black student at the law school. However, there was no massive response to racial intolerance and little changed. Looking back, I wish I had been more sensitive to the horrible significance of the signs on the restrooms and become more active. After Duke, I headed to Washington with my first wife, Mary Ann. I thought it would be for 2 years, and then I would return to Maine. That did not happen. I found law practice in Washington exciting. We were also occupied with bringing up 5 children. Mary Ann was Catholic, and all the children were confirmed in the Catholic Church. I dutifully went to Mass, supported catechism classes for the kids, but could never accept the Catholic theology. I do recall during this time my admiration for the leaders of the Episcopal Church in Washington. I admired the decision to appoint a black priest as the Bishop of Washington and was impressed by the willingness of church leaders to lead the way on integration and gay rights. After Mary Ann became ill and was homebound, I began attending services at the National Cathedral in Washington. I became friendly with one of the priests who asked me to join the rotation of readers at the 11 a.m. cathedral service. I have to admit that I was bowled over by the ceremony. As a reader, I marched behind the verger and priests in the opening and closing processions, singing hymns accompanied by the excellent cathedral organ. All very stirring, but I gradually began to ask myself in moments of reflection, did I really believe all of the Nicene Creed? Mary Ann died in 1991, and 2 years later I was introduced to Dina. Dina grew up in a Jewish family in Canada, Coming from a family of refugees, she heard many first-hand accounts of loss, suffering, and survival during the Holocaust. When we decided to be married, Dina crafted a beautiful ceremony which was drawn from Jewish, Protestant, and Buddhist sources and was conducted by a female rabbi. During our marriage, I have learned to respect her faith and understand how it was influenced by the incredible horror of the Holocaust, which affected so many members of her family. Despite my genealogy, I was accepted by Dina's family and never felt like an outsider. I was delighted to learn her father and I shared a passion for the lessons of the 15th Psalm and was honored when I was asked to be a pallbearer at his funeral. As I approached middle age, I had no clear vision of faith. I had grown up with parents who seldom went to church, but encouraged me to attend Sunday school. I was married in the Catholic Church, where all my children were baptized and where the funeral was held for my first wife. I had been a lay reader at the National Episcopal Cathedral and was married to Dina by a Jewish rabbi. While I continued to take guidance from the 15th Psalm, I could not accept the tenet that Jesus was the only Son of God. I wondered, what about Muhammad and Buddha? And I should add that I was increasingly aware of the comfort and inspiration I derived from being out in the woods, standing in a trout stream and watching birds. Clearly, a spiritual source was behind all that beauty and the restorative power of nature to cure the damage done by man. This was my frame of mind when I was approached by Brownie Carson and asked to be on the advisory board of the Natural Resources Council of Maine. I accepted and remain a member today. I also started doing pro bono legal work for NRCM and handled the federal aspects of the effort to remove the Fort Halifax Dam on the Sebasticook River. The success of that case reinforced my commitment to Maine's environment. Emerson wrote in his essay on nature that the attorney comes out of the din and craft of the street and sees sky and the woods and is man again. After the din of the battle to remove the Fort Halifax Dam, thousands of alewives began to migrate up to Sebasticook, and today the migration numbers in the millions. I am sure that Emerson would have accepted that the din of environmental advocacy, and whatever connotations that may have, would not weaken the faith of the advocate who steps back after the din and takes spiritual sustenance from the sky and the woods. And I would add, free-flowing rivers teeming with new life. The spiritual quality of rivers has also been brought home to me by my work with the Passamaquoddy Indian tribe in efforts to restore the St. Croix River, which is at the center of the Wabanaki tribal homeland. To the Passamaquoddy members, rivers provide food not only for the body, but also for the spirit. This spiritual concept of sustenance motivates the tribe's commitment to restoration of migratory fish throughout their ancestral homeland. Before we moved here, Dina and I rarely attended church together, except perhaps on holidays and special occasions. On arrival in Brunswick, I attended a number of different churches, but felt something was lacking. When I mentioned this to Dina, she reminded me of her wonderful experience at the Universalist group she joined in Mexico, where she spent a month to improve her Spanish. She was moved by the realization that the Universal Unitarian Church encompassed all faiths, including Christians, Jews, and others, all committed to decency respect for each other, and the commitment to doing good works in the community. It then dawned on me that we shared a vision of faith that was not bound by creed. And at Dina's urging, our spiritual journey took us to UUCB. Right away, we realized that UUCB is, as Bob Waddle reminded us a few weeks ago, a big, beloved community committed to love, service, transformation, and justice, and, I would add, a commitment to protect the earth. Most important is that we have found at UUCB a spiritual home with a mission that we share together. Although Dina has had to spend much of her time in the last few years having cancer treatment at Johns Hopkins, and our plans have repeatedly been changed by the emergence of COVID, I am happy to report that the results of her treatment have been successful and that she will be joining me shortly. We look forward to being with all of you.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, may we always be able to look at the natural world for sustenance and renewal, so that we can face the turmoil and challenges that face us as individuals, our community, and the larger world. May we always be reminded not to take this beautiful world for granted, to respect the interdependent web of life and our mission to care for the earth. May we work to ensure that rivers, air, and animals run free and clear, and that humans will be equal in privilege and opportunity the world over. And now the words of Stephen M. Schick. I am entwined in your delicate web of mutuality. The life energy that makes me reach for the sun also moves me to become wrapped like the strong bittersweet vine and the delicate sweet pea around those I meet and love. Here in the tangle of my daily life, I feel your pulse and sense what it means to be alive. Here, twisted and knotted, I thrive, seeking the light that will pull from me the fragrant blossom of love. Spirit of life, help me to experience the beauty of your interwoven and intricate web, that I may always embrace without reserve all those whom my life touches. Amen and blessed be.
I stand on a mountain top beside a rolling stream. The spirits of the wilderness call out as in a dream. We've the strength to move the mountains, yet we're gentle as a swaying flower. We sing the songs of the winds and make the birds soar. Spirit of the eagle, teach me to fly. Spirit of the loon, won't you help me learn to cry? Spirit of the water, cleanse my weary heart. Spirit of the open sky, help me shine like a star. I paddle my canoe upstream under the cloak of night. The hoot owl and the loon call out to say that it's all right. That drinking gourd led Harriet to set her people free. I wonder what those twinkling lights above have to say to me. Spirit of the eagle, teach me to fly. Spirit of the loon, won't you help me learn to cry? Spirit of the water, cleanse my weary heart. Spirit of the open sky, help me shine like a star.
4-element blessing, the words of Eric Williams. May the firmness of the earth be yours. May the flow of the water be yours. May the freedom of the air be yours. May the fierceness of fire be yours. May all the gifts of this life, the below and the above, be with you now and remain with you always. Namaste.